Are you there, Michael? Good morning, Michael. Good morning. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Jenny White.
How are you this morning?
Good. I'm on a shoestring connection, so hopefully I can be on the whole show.
Yeah, I hope so too, because otherwise you're gonna look like who is that dude? Max Headroom.
Did you say douche or dude?
Dude, come on.
Oh,
yes, you're all.
I thought you were calling me a name, like
No,
my neighbor across the street.
No, you're. Good night. No, you're already having trouble with your signal. I said that dude, Max Headroom. Good night, Michael. You are a bad man.
That's
so
funny.
Does that mean that right now, before a whole bunch of people get on, you're going to show us your shirt? Lisa may be on. If Lisa's on, Lisa, watch.
Well, we got to make sure Lisa's on. That's for sure.
Oh, you are it is really bad. Like,
is that me?
Yes. There it is.
Out?
Okay, Lisa's on. Lisa's on.
All right. Here we go. This for Lisa.
Okay. Well, now you're okay. There we go.
There we go. And I will be wearing this shirt all day long. So if you see me out at the store, go ahead and say, "Hey, like that shirt." I'm sure I'll get a ton of compliments because I always do.
Oh my goodness, Michael Grande. I don't have on a t-shirt like that this morning, so I don't have that. You're stuck again. We need to get you Starlink. That's what we need to do. We need to get you Starlink at your house.
Well, anything's possible with money.
Earl's daughter and Lisa love it. What does Lauren think about it?
She won't go out with me with the shirt. And in fact, when I put it on this morning, she goes, "You're really gonna wear that shirt on the podcast?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Why wouldn't I?" I said, "It's true."
Well, sadly, as things that have happened this week go, I'm not sure that you're not wrong. I mean, there have been so many things that have happened in the last week. It's a wonder anybody can keep up. Yeah. So I think Connie wants to see your shirt. She just got on. It'll take a second, Connie. He's in some kind of, there we go. Okay.
Did I get it?
Yes.
Or was I cutting out?
No, you got it, but you are cutting out. It's going to annoy me to no end.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not as technically advanced as the farm girl on her ranch out there.
Well, I mean, I have my troubles too, but it's not quite as bad as yours today.
Yeah.
So our friend Dana Mooney's son, Preston, was kidnapped by DHS. and taken to OU Medical to have chemotherapy treatments that neither Dana nor Preston wanted. So I don't know how many shows we've done, especially since Katie has come on and started doing shows with us. Katie Smith from V1SUT. We have heard time after time after time after time that this is not an isolated incident. This happens with DHS on a consistent basis. Government has gone completely berserk, and it's just at this point doing whatever the swamp creatures who run it want done. There's no thought. I'll never forget this, and this is a great way to start it off. Back in the Common Core days when we were fighting Common Core, there was a lady that was with us on this, and she was phenomenal. And one day we had Janet Barisi speaking to us at a forum, and her name was Karen. And basically Karen stood up and she said, but here's the problem with all this Common Core and the data stuff and everything else. See, you work for me. I don't work for you.
Yeah.
You work for me. Everybody in the place was like rolling. We were all dying because it's like nobody had ever really said it out loud before. Nobody had really said, you work for me. And it was absolutely, I think there was a stunned silence for one moment in her career where she was quiet, because I think she didn't really know what to come back and say. But it was phenomenal. It was the best thing ever. And I think what's happened is we literally have forgotten that the only job government has is to protect the rights of the individuals, not a group of these people, not a group of those people, not a group. It's to protect the rights of individuals who live in this country, or in their city, if it's a city council, or in their district, if they're a county commissioner, or in their school district, if they're a school board member, or if they're in a specific legislative district, House or Senate. This is the only job of anybody in government, elected or appointed. That is it. That is the whole job. Is it to get people jobs, to get kids jobs? Is it to put kids into a database so they can track them through the workforce because somehow this is going to help them to learn? Is it giving money to certain businesses because we need to make sure there are businesses here so kids don't have to go out of state, they can have jobs here? Is it to tell people that they should wear masks or have injections, or that their children must follow a form of health care prescribed by the state? I'm just curious, is any of that government's job? Is any of that government's job? Okay, I'll just tell you, the answer is no. No, it's not. No, it's not. The only job of government is to protect individual rights. So we have Daniel McClure on this morning, who is Dana's one of Dana's attorneys. Apparently Daniel has had a lot of attorneys reaching out to him because I think Dana's situation was so egregious. I think it.
Well, who initiated that, Jenny? Was that from the doctors, or like what? Who actually started?
It was a family member. It was a family member who did not like the fact that Dana was using alternative holistic treatments to treat Preston
Wow.
instead of chemotherapy because they'd already tried chemotherapy and they did not like the results that they had gotten. And if people don't know Dana Mooney, I'm going to tell you something about Dana Mooney if you don't know. I don't know. I met Dana 4 or 5 years ago through Julia C. She was just starting a Moms for Liberty chapter in Canadian County, and she asked me to come out and talk on something. I think it was DEI or something like that. And so from the moment in time that I met her, I realized something about Dana, and that is Dana is not the kind of person where you say, "Hey, Dana, fill in the blank." And she goes, "Oh, okay." If you tell Dana something, she's going to go research it. She wants to know for a fact. Is that the fact? Is that it? What is it? She is one of the most intelligent, well-researched people I have ever met. And do not forget that I have been around in this game a long, long time. So when you take a woman who is extremely well educated, knows how to research, is intelligent, and has a child that she's doing everything she can for, Sherry says, his genetic markers indicated that chemo was not working because she had him genetically tested. He is autistic. When you have a person like that is so obviously not neglectful, they're just working out of the box. Working out of the box is not neglectful. When I was told I was going to kill my mother if I didn't wear a mask, I still didn't wear a mask. And that's not what killed my mom. It was, I'm pretty sure, the effects of 3 vaccines. So all of this BS nonsense that we do now, which is you must fit into this little box and you must do it the way the government experts say, data, science. If you don't do it that way, they'll get you.
Yeah. Well,
They'll get you.
I hope we can help Dana somehow get the right people on board. But I'll tell you what, Jenni, in my opinion, over time, okay, it'll take a little bit of time, but I think, there's a lot of, we talk a lot about AI and mostly the bad of AI, but I think in the future, when there's enough information into the AI databases that it will completely go away from allopathic medicine. Yeah. And like, I think AI will literally realize that all of the natural, more nutrition-based, homeopathy, all of that type of, Eastern type of medicine, once that really gets put in the databases, I think it will literally eviscerate like the entire vaccine industry, the entire pharmaceutical side, because think about it, the only way that the pharmaceutical side, the way we do it now is because the pharmaceutical companies, literally, they're allowed to advertise on TV, so they control all of the media because they're the majority. Yeah, they're the majority of all the budgets of all the media companies. They incentivize all of the doctors. They control all of the medical journals, any kind of medical information, scientific papers, whatever, all the research. It's all done by them for them, and they control the whole deal. So I hope I will not be influenced and literally say, this is all the worst thing that's ever been, and we need to move over here in one way or another. But I tell you what, I can see, because like for myself, I have family members that vehemently disagree with how we treat our kids one way or another, because my kids aren't vaccinated. We literally don't go to the doctor. My kids, they're hardly ever sick.
Why would you need to? They're not
vaccinated. Yeah, if they are sick, we just give them some vitamins. We work up, some natural things one way or another. They may miss a day of school, but all my kids are like that. We never go to the doctor for anything. Unless they have a broken bone or something like that. But I'll be praying for Dana and hope I really hope I can help her somehow, because I just think that is the absolute worst thing ever, is to have a government agency come in and tell you how to treat your own kid.
Well, and it's like Lisa says, we're in a commie country now where the government can just take your child and make him sicker than he was. So there is a give, send, go for Dana. Fortunately, she is getting help from some attorneys, which is wonderful. And we thank them very much for, getting involved. But there is a give, send, go for if you want to go ahead and help Dana out. So Sherry put the link on Facebook. So I'm assuming is it my Facebook page or is it the Rope Facebook page, Sherry? So go to the Facebook page and look down in the comments and pull that out. I do hope to have something up today. It's just taking me so long to get so many things done. But please do go do that. We'll try to mention it. Sherry, if I don't mention it before the end of the program, will you please re-mention it again, stick it in there? Earl's daughter says, OU Medical participating in this medical kidnapping just goes through me too. All of our institutions are captured. Well, and that was the whole idea that the Marxists had in the beginning. Children's hospitals already use algorithms to treat children from the NICU up, I think, for sure. But Jenni, the science is settled, like the thalidomide. My mom took the thalidomide when she was pregnant with me. And for those of you who are younger who watch that, okay. So if you want to go to find the link to help Dana with the give, send, go to the Rope page. Oh, she hasn't been able to work. Okay, that's the big problem. Thank you, Sherry. So I was a thalidomide baby. And for those of you who are younger, thalidomide was a drug that they gave to pregnant women to keep them from being sick. So if you felt sick, you would take thalidomide. Well, and unfortunately, it caused lots of babies to be born without limbs. So literally, it just prevented somehow thalidomide prevented limbs from completing their genesis. Yeah. And there were many babies born in the early 60s and late 50s that that were missing limbs. So this was I believe it was an FDA approved treatment, thalidomide. And, it caused, so I'm not sure where we came. It has to only be government propaganda and programming that says, oh, teachers are all the best. Oh, military people are all the best. Oh, doctors are all the best. You know what? No, nobody's all the best. No group of people is all the best. No. Not all group of Christians, not all group of Jews, any. There, a group is full of individuals. Some are going to be awesome. Some are going to be crap. So I'm not doing this. You can't make me feel bad about not just running out and going, oh, everybody in the military is phenomenal, because they're not. Yeah. I mean, wasn't he a general or somebody in command that was a cross-dresser under Biden? Really?
Well, Jenni, how about everybody that's red with an R behind their name? They're all good. They're all on our side.
That's another one. Yeah. Okay. Uniparty people. There should be a class action lawsuit by families such as hers against the hospital systems, judges, law enforcement, et cetera, for physical and emotional trauma, harms perpetuated on these families. Connie, I don't believe that change is going to happen any other way. These people care about money because it gives them power. Yeah. And there's so much money attached to all of these people. Ask Roberta Lewis. We've had her on the show. She's Moms for Liberty in Shawnee, Pottawatomie County. Her son was kidnapped on a behavioral health issue, kidnapped from the school, put in a facility, and shock. As soon as the Sooner Care money ran out, they just basically opened up the door, stuck him on the sidewalk and said, hey, you want to come pick up your kid? So this is all about money, and money generates power. So until we actually start just sticking it to these people and forcing them individually, not tax on taxpayers' dime, it should have to come out of their pockets. it's not going to stop. So I agree
Some of this,
100%.
you think some of this, is it a little political, Jenni? I mean, Dana's pretty obviously, pretty outspoken against a lot of legislation, a lot of school antics. She's Mom for Liberty. Roberta, the same way. I mean, are they being targeted in some way, you think? I mean, is it really that
Oh my
slimy?
goodness, that can't happen in America, and certainly not in a red state, Michael. I don't know why you would bring that up. Of course they're being targeted. I mean, come on. Look at me.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll target any of us. It doesn't matter. This is why a lot of the younger people don't want kids. It's nothing but a fight against the medical system. You're signing yourself up to be attacked while trying to raise a kid. I hate that you said that, because I'm not a grandmother yet, and I'm getting older every moment, and I would like to have a grandbaby. But it's true that until we get things squared away, I mean, we adopted two children from Africa. The older child was bipolar, and it caused so many problems in our family. And all I could think of every day was, oh my God, my kids something's going to happen, and they're going to come get my kids. Nobody should have to live in fear like that. Why would I have to live in fear like that?
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't my fault that we adopted a child that had a mental condition. I mean, how did that get to be my fault? So, I mean, I was so angry the other day that I just thought I literally didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm almost, like, we're in such trouble.
I'll tell you, I'll give you an example with us. The one time that we did need to go to the doctor with one of our kids, our regular pediatrician who knew us, he said, you guys, you're the parents, if you don't want to vaccinate, that's up to you.
Yeah.
I'll still see your kids. He was out of town, so we needed to go into, the clinic, and they said, well, this other doctor, this was the other pediatrician that's in his group. He won't see us because our kids aren't vaccinated. Literally.
So what does that now? I want to follow this. I want to follow this stream. What does that do to the doctor? In what way does that affect the doctor?
Yeah.
And how does that prevent him from doing his job that your children are not vaccinated?
Yeah. Well, I said that has nothing to do with, the situation that we're coming. They're like, well, we can't have you in the waiting room because you're not vaccinated, and you may be transmitting disease to the other kids. I go, they're all vaccinated. Why would it matter? I mean, this was pre-COVID. This was a pre-COVID deal. But I'm just like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, but it's propaganda. It's like you said, when you allow drug companies to advertise on TV, and most people do this. They're hypnotized by the TV. So whatever's on the TV is 160,000% right. So, it's okay. We've got so many things to talk about. Vaccines are my ultimate shame as a parent. I know the harm caused. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I have a type 1 diabetic son. Wonder where that came from. My other son had a febrile seizure after his second MMR when he was 6, had a febrile seizure, and then had just, anyway, we could go on. Oh, Lisa said thalidomide was never FDA approved. It was just handed out like candy untested. That's horrible. Holy cow. Hold on. I'm getting caught up here. Only 2 groups, communists and anti-communists anymore. And if you don't know which group you're in, go away. Go find someplace else. Just go away. Yeah. So anyway, all the essential workers, the narrative was so pushed with COVID, all the government paid employees. Yeah, absolutely fact. It's growing government through I was going to talk about this, Amy Jackson. It's growing government through employment, make livelihoods depend on the government. This is 160,000% correct. Amy Jackson.
One who's the largest employer. I mean, don't forget who's the largest employer in this country is the government. And that's how they want it. Because now your livelihood depends on them, their agencies, their decisions, everything that, and you're not going to go against the system because you're not going to go against your own livelihood. That's how they do it.
Yep. Bless your heart, Michael. That can't happen here in Oklahoma. You're not in California anymore. My life for the last 10 years. And that's so true because like Julie Collier and Lisa O'Brien and so many of our followers that came from California, I feel for them. I mean, Lisa and I talk quite frequently, and I feel for them because it's just so frustrating for them. You know, well, you're in a red state. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're California, and you're too stupid to see it.
Yeah.
It has to be so frustrating. And the tort law, in many cases, prevents the people from being able to hold them accountable for abuse of power. And that is, there's so many things that need to be addressed in this upcoming session. And I will say, you know, like Jay Siegel went out there and I mean, Jay's been involved, Gabe, Kendall, Shane Jett. I mean, so many of our legislators that actually understand what the job is to protect my liberty.
Yeah.
These legislators have been out there actually working super hard to get some things done. So do make sure that you're paying attention, because if your legislator isn't, your legislator doesn't understand their job and they need to go bye-bye in 2026. So make sure you're paying attention to that.
Their job's just to write laws, pass bills.
I still will never forget that to this day. But why do they send me up here to write bills? No, to protect my liberty. So glad he's not there anymore. He should be sued for violation of his oath. You know, it's interesting, Connie. I've had numbers of people, I don't know, say the same thing. We need to go back to the oath of office and start nailing people in the oath of office. I'm just not sure how that happens. I mean, I'm not the lawyer, obviously. So I'm not sure how that happens, but I think it's something to look into and see if there's some way to do it. It's not coming to mind. You went the right way, Jenni. You asked your followers to pray. Yes, absolutely. And that's the other thing. Honestly, one quick thing. If you don't somehow think it's evil, like demonic evil, that the state would steal a child from a parent, then I'm like super concerned about your ability to be discerning, especially if you're a Christian. We are in a spiritual battle. If you're not praying, and I mean fervently praying, right? If you're not doing that, we've got to have literally a massive work of the Spirit here, because this is it's just awful. What are you doing in the background?
Huh?
You're doing something in the background. I hear music or something.
I don't know. There's guys sawing over here.
Oh, that's it. It's sawing.
I guess that's music to your ears.
Well,
Someone's
people make music on saws. Do not make fun of me. That actually happens. When we were kicked out of our PEDS practice for not vaxxing, there were intimations. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
I've had those threats. I've literally had those threats from people before. And I'll tell you what, here's what I do. And I've done this for a long time. I had a book. My mother-in-law got me a book when we had our first child, and it was called Letters from Dad. And it was just about a guy who journaled, all of everything with his kids. And I literally, after I read that book, I was like, I need to do that. not for like protection purposes, but just to, I'd tell my kids what we did that day, what we worked on, this, that. So I used to hand write out everything, and then I went to typing, and then now I just, do it voice, or I even have an email. Like I have an email for them, so I type stuff up and just send it to this email, and then I'll give it to them, later. So later on in their life, I'll give them all this stuff. But I started addressing that in all the journals. Every single day when I'd write something or two or for my kids, I'd say, this is why we're doing this, to protect you. And when you turn 18 and you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. If you want to go back and get all those vaccines, and you can do it yourself. But we've read the research. Here's all this documentation. This is why I'm doing it, to protect you. So I have that way no one can ever come and if I have to go to court for one of my kids, I'll have journals, stacked this high of here's what we did every day. This kind of parent I am, and you're not getting in the way in between me and my child.
I love that. I mean, there are lots of reasons I love you, but that is definitely one of them. That's awesome. I wish I did that. I tried to explain things because I'm an explainer. I'm sure nobody gets that.
Here, put Michael on mute. Here we go. Go ahead.
Why are you doing that?
Because you're just going to explain. Just go ahead.
No. I'm just saying that's the kind of person I am, and I'm an explainer. I was always like that with the kids. If the kids would say something, rarely would I ever go, because I said so. Because every once in a while I did. I'd be like, because I said so. But most of the time, if they said something, I would always explain, well, here's the reason why we do that. And I'm doing that because of blah, 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 blah. So I did try to explain things to them. So it was never because I said so. And now I think, they're finally getting to the age where they're looking back, and some of the things that, that we did are making some sense to them. But it takes a while, to get that through their heads. My daughter's pediatrician said most pediatricians' insurance payments. What?
Yeah. Wow. I believe it. I believe it 100%. And Jenni, if you look at the financials of these big corporations that produce these vaccines, that's literally the real money-making part of their business is not the pills, it's the vaccines. That's where they make, their millions and hundreds of millions of dollars is on the vaccine side.
Well, and I do think Sherry said, and that's how they got the doctors can play, even if they disagreed. And that is true. I mean, we knew that they were giving them money for beds, and there had to be so many beds full of COVID patients for, them to make money. And I do remember one time, because I had an appointment at McBride, and I was going to McBride because I was like, well, they're different than everybody else. They're not having to do the same thing. But then I would call and they'd say, well, you have to wear a mask. And I'm like, why? Well, because the insurance payments that they were getting, the insurance companies weren't going to sign off, apparently. I mean, that's kind of what I got out of it. So wow. Yeah, some of this stuff is just so, it's become baked in. I think that's a good way to say it. It's become baked into these systems.
Yeah.
By legislators, by people at the federal level, by dumb idiots who are CEOs and CFOs of these companies and don't know what life is like on the ground, where everybody else lives. So I think that's where so much of this stuff is coming from, but it's coming. It is the way it is.
It's incrementalism also. They slowly, they do one little thing, and then you may have some pushback. You wait long enough, the attrition of whatever that decision, everybody just goes along. Then they do the next thing. Then they do the next thing. They don't just throw it all on us all at one time. They know. I mean, the process they use is pioneered, no doubt about it.
Oh, for sure. Sac Erie requested a study to see if illegals could get temporary driver's license. Now, and that is part of the problem. I mean, Catherine, we talked about that numerous times. And we've had Jason Murphy on, who's, just beaten that point in. Our leadership in the House and Senate are, they're not for the people. They're not we the people. They're not that. Melissa Myers, she's the chairman of the Tulsa County GOP, says, I've experienced being looked down upon and questioned by my kids' doctors about COVID HPV. Oh, do not give a kid an HPV shot.
Oh, yeah.
Do not
Absolutely
do it.
Not.
Even the CDC own website shows that the risks from those HPV vaccines outweigh the risks of not taking it. And by the way, HPV is entirely preventable. You keep your pants on. I'm just saying, you keep your pants on, you don't ever get HPV, number one. Number two, if you're an older person and you get it, one of the most promising solutions to come down the line, because this can go away by itself, people, unless it causes cancer. And I was there, so yeah, I do know quite a bit about that. But curcumin, turmeric and curcumin has been shown to be a very effective, you just take it orally, very effective for that. You can look that research up for yourself. So don't know. Make sure you do your research on HPV vaccines. I mean, all vaccines, but for that. And the last DTaP shot. And that's the other thing. I don't want to get into all of that. I said you aren't touching my kids anymore with this crap. I can tell you've worked in healthcare. The push is from the pharma companies. We had lunches every week. They came with presents. Yes, duh. Because when I was working at the health department, that was the era where we got the hepatitis A and the chickenpox vaccines. And they'd come in, take them all to steak dinners, and oh my gosh, now all of a sudden my kids are going to die from chickenpox. It's such a pile of poo. I mean, it's just a pile of poo. If you want to switch topics, oh yeah, let's do that in just a second. But because I've got some other things we need to talk about. Nowhere in the path does it say to make laws. You'll have to go in the oath. I was like, what path are we on, Sherry? Yes, it's true. Earl's daughter, it's tyrannical to have financialized food, healthcare, and utilities. Once consolidated, they have total control. And we have no market power. It's 100% true. There was one that was up here. Spirit of St. Louis was talking about.
And part of that major consolidation. I mean, look at just across the board from the 70s and 80s and 90s, Jenny, to now, where you had independent media, you had independent little grocery stores, you had independent hardware stores, you had independents all over the place. Now you literally have a massive consolidation down to, just a couple of large companies that own everybody.
Well, I wanted to put this in. I just accidentally overlooked it, because this is right. Farmers used to own 75% of the wealth. I mean, it's like completely.
Well, and go back to that, Jenny. Who were the most independent, literally the most independent people in this country? 100% farmers. Yep.
Okay, I'm so lost. We've got so many comments this morning. It is tyrannical. 1000% demonic. God ordained the family unit as the foundation for civilized society. Tearing them apart is Satan's work. 100%. Absolutely demonic. Absolutely St. Louis. Yes, they get paid by using the vaccines and meds. I hope the legislators are also hearing about the lady that's a perfect match to donate a kidney to her child. And OU is refusing the surgery because she doesn't want a vac.
Yeah.
Insane. I would agree, Amy, completely. Pediatricians are 100% captured by insurance companies. Yes. If we could get rid of insurance companies, I swear, and go back to the way it was before, life would be so much better, because these people couldn't get their fingers in and manipulate you. And I'll never forget, we were trying to change car insurance, because for all of you parents out there who have teenage drivers, you know what happens to your insurance rates. So we're trying to find a good insurance company so we're not having to pay $40,000 in car insurance for all of the kids that were driving in the house all at one time. And the cheapest rate that I found. Are you ready for this? Do you know how I was going to get the cheapest rate?
Paying cash?
By putting a low jack in my car. so they could follow me everywhere I went, track all my data, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
refuse those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not. Are you? Yeah. No. Our healthcare system is not care. I'll just say it like that. Jenny, you need to talk to Hallie Luther. They did the same thing. Oh. My own eyes tell me illegals are getting medical. Of course, that's so true. I'm sure of that. Jeremy, that goes back to the AMAs. Yes, that's correct.
Well,
yes, all of these stupid associations and private associations are the ones that are killing us. There's no question.
Well, and I'll tell you, you know, whether a lot of people really criticize me for this, but I'll just tell you, Jenny, you know, I've got 7 people in our family, and we haven't had insurance, medical insurance, for 15 years.
Good for you.
We, you know, anything that comes up, I save money on the side just for cash pay.
Good for you.
And I negotiate anytime we have to go. Like, we've had to go to the hospital, get stitches, go to the hospital, do other stuff. We've had broken bones.
You sound like a neglectful parent. Broken bones and stitches. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Well, so when we go, Lauren's got the kids, they're over there, and I go in and I talk to whoever the business billing person is, and I literally say, hey, I don't have insurance. I'm going to cash pay. I want to negotiate this, you know, before we do it, whatever. We all agree to the terms. I pay, and then we're done. And it's usually a lot cheaper than if I had to pay, you know, a $5,000, you know, copay, you know, some type of deductible or something just to have a policy so they can bill out $10,000 on top of it.
Well, you know, we tried to get off or have arthroscopic knee surgery where you have your complete knee replaced. Yeah. Just don't do that. You'll be saving up for quite a while for that. Anyway, train jumped the track. I was going to say something and then it went bye-bye. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here's the problem that I had just personally. So we wanted to get off of health insurance for, you know, obvious reasons, probably 20 years ago. And I looked into the Christian health pay where you know what I'm talking. I can't think of what the name of the
actual, and then the group itself can help you pay. You know, we'll pay all the any invoices you have.
Correct. So I tried to do that, but then the problem became the fact that I have a child with type 1 diabetes. And they basically will not, if you have any pre-existing conditions, then you don't get into the pool. And so then that really, you know, that puts a kind of a damper on it because then you're like, oh, well, I didn't, okay, now what do I do? Well, so, I mean, it's tricky. But before we get too much further on that, but just let me say this before we get off of that tack. You guys are going to have to watch every freaking law that comes up next year and starting in February. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to just be eyes on all the time. This has gotten way beyond the point. I mean, it's a locomotive going downhill, and we're either going to completely abandon it and let it just go right into the, you know, into the ravine, or we're going to continue to try to play Superman and push back. Yeah. I prefer to play Superman. And yes, you're right. Dana does have a system for that. And we talked about that last year. Jeremy says, I'm with you on the insurance approach, Michael. It's a filthy, impoverishing, fear-driven system. Hopefully people are listening. And yes, I also hate insurance companies, Michael. I support you. We need help getting it funded. Connie's talking about the thing that we talked to Dana about last Wednesday. So if you're not sure what that is, it's a system to track legislation. Please go back to our video from last week and you can find that. And and talk about that. So we had some education things that happened this week, and I would like to talk about them. And you want to talk about the Trump RX. So maybe we should get out of the healthcare part by talking about Trump RX. You
Yeah,
want to do
I
that?
just want to,
Good.
and
then we'll
I'm
go
only
into
on,
the
only have
education.
one screen here since I'm sitting in my garage.
In your garage.
On my laptop for emergency podcast equipment. So let me move this over first before I switch this, so we don't get a go ahead and put that up on the screen, and then tell me when it's up, because I can't see anything yet.
Okay, hold on. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness, hold on. We had a bunch of comments come in at one time. Okay, here it's up.
Okay, so last week Trump announces the Trump RX discount prescription drugs out of the White House are going to have their own deal. So they partnered with Pfizer. And remember Pfizer, remember, we'll play that video. Remember Albert Bourla here. So Albert Bourla, who's the CEO of Pfizer, remember when he called us all criminals for spreading misinformation about the COVID vaccine. And remember also, for a long, long time, he never even took the jab until basically they did it on TV, and who knows what he even took at that time. But also, I want to just show something else. So I can't stand Pfizer. Pfizer is one of the worst in my opinion. But also you had, don't forget about Dr. Michael Yeadon, who was one of he was one of the vice president researchers over at Pfizer. I mean, like, he was one of the big dogs. And he came out and he was talking about how bad all the RNA was, how bad all the vaccines are, how bad the vaccines in general were. And anyway, he kind of became an anti-vax hero here after a while. But Reuters did a whole investigation on all that, and it's actually, I mean, this is a pretty long deal. So, I just look it up separately. But don't forget, I love to show this, and I actually printed this out. And I took it into when I met with with the superintendent up in Edmond. This is the amount of deaths. This is the reported deaths through the VAERS system. And we know, like, when we hit the VAERS system last time, Jenny, only 1% is reported through the VAERS system, from Harvard and some of these other studies. Yeah. So here's 1990 all the way to 2020. So you've got a little bit more, deaths being reported through the system. Look at 2021 when the vaccines were rolled out. Look at this. I mean, if that just doesn't blow your mind, then, and then here's the days. So here's the deaths. Here's the amount of deaths up here. So that's 20,000. And then, so we could multiply that by, easily by 100 and probably get a more accurate number. But here's the day's onset of those deaths. Literally, within 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 7 days, especially day 0. How about get a shot and die the same day, or get a shot and die the next day, or right here, get a shot and die 2 days later? I mean, are you really telling me that they're just gonna go along with that? And my biggest deal is Trump still has not disavowed Project Warp Speed and the vaccines and the damage that they've done. Now he's partnering in here with Pfizer. And let me just play this video. I hope we can hear it. Let me know if you can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
Dang it. Yeah.
Turn it up. Try turning it up on your computer. Can you do that?
Yeah, let me move this microphone right over here.
Oh, yeah. That would work. That'll do it.
And then we should be able to hear it.
Good.
Let me turn this up, because I want you to hear what he says. But he's literally, in my opinion, he's just selling out his name, to get money, in this drug deal. And watch RFK back here in the background. RFK is not happy in any capacity. And I can't believe Dr. Oz is back here kind of, going along with the program also. It's just mind-blowing to me.
Low-income Americans, especially low-income Americans, will be helped so greatly. In addition, Pfizer has agreed to provide some of their most popular current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%. And that's off the price. And in some cases, even more than that, these drugs will be available for direct purchase online at a website operated by the federal government.
And President Trump says Pfizer will also invest.
So, well, I should have, you know what? I should have played the next part of that because that's actually, and I'm already putting this back on. But the biggest deal of that, Jenny, was, let me stop sharing my screen. So the biggest deal of that is Pfizer's going to invest money back in the United States in order, they're going to invest $1 billion or $5 billion or, whatever it is. So, I mean, that's all like, not to just always hammer President Trump on all these deals, but that's like all he cares about. Oh, they're going to invest some money, so we'll do this deal. That's fine. I don't
he's
like
selling a stable coin as the president of the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
this is actually a good segue because we're going to talk about leaders who want to run the country or the state like a business.
Yeah.
Shelley says, thank you, Michael, for showing that below the surface on the Trump RX. We need to see what's happening here. Double speak by Trump in doing this.
Here's what I don't like. You want to talk about steps down fascist, Marxist type of road. You don't need the president if he wants to do it, just force Pfizer to do it in one way or another. You don't need your name on it. You don't need to have it all separated out with your name on it. And you just basically you get with the legislators, you change the laws, you do that stuff in order to get the prices down and make it, however it needs to be. But, that's the government, the head of the government investing, partnering with a major corporation, just like, the government's partnering with Intel, the government's, in with Boeing, they're in with all the defense contractors.
Palantir.
It's unbelievable. We're going down this path to where the government is going to be the largest shareholder or the say-so in every one of these things that they should not be involved in. I don't like the fact that if he wants America first, the people first, that's the last thing that needs to happen, in my opinion.
Well, it's not just your opinion, Michael. That's the way the government is supposed to be run. But that, again, that's the problem. So we're going to talk, now I'm going to pull this in. So I wrote an article the other day. And I put it out because I'd been researching it before what happened with Dana and Preston. And so it just kind of got lost in the melee there. And I totally understand it, but people need to see this. I've started a series called Oklahoma Inc. And when you look at, this is called Oklahoma Inc. Governor Stitt's Appointment Swamp. And I know that so many of us who were, MAGA people, we were always talking about the swamp. Oh, well, the swamp, blah, blah, blah. I think several things are going on. Number one, I think people think that the swamp is confined to the federal level. And then I think number two, I think people don't know what constitutes swamp. They don't get it. So I wrote this article because I am hoping that this is it's on the website, rope2.org, so you can go find it. But I wanted to go in and talk about this. So Governor Stitt, when he was elected, he had told the media that he had only voted one time. He was the owner and creator of Gateway Mortgage Group, which is a private organization, private business, and it had been investigated numerous times. This wasn't like the shining example on a hill of the way a business should be run. It had been investigated multiple times. And I guess we just felt like we needed something new. He was able to fund his campaign because he had all of this money, and he was elected governor of the state without as a businessman. So this is part of the problem that we have with Governor King Stitt. And I've now started hyphenating it's King Stitt. So Governor King Stitt. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the people that he's appointed, because the governor has appointment power. And if you haven't paid attention to what's going on with this governor, I'll give you a really good example of remember when we had the fires in March? So Governor Stitt apparently had a house out here and it burned down. So the thing that he did immediately was can the head of the forestry department. Okay. So that's something a business person would do. Hey, you screwed up my investment. I'm firing you. That is not how government works. We don't just get pissy about things and fire people. Okay. Like we did with Kendra and Katie. And, we don't do that kind of thing. But this is what we've consistently seen this governor do. So this was a post by a lady named Donelle Harder. If you don't know who Donelle is, I'm sure she's a lovely person. I'm not picking on her personally, but she had this is a public post. I didn't get anything off of social media that wasn't, I didn't go dig something up. She made a public post on her page. She talks about, when I filed my papers a couple of days ago to serve as Oklahoma's next Secretary of State, because what happened is right at the same time that Ryan Walters quit and left, an elected official who just leaves their point, they're just left so he could do something else. And so Governor Stitt has appointment power now. So he steps in and he's just he's made Ryan Walters' departure his Obama change moment where he's just going to move everything around. Okay. So Donelle Harder, it was going to be the Secretary of State. Josh Cockcroft, who was a former legislator who has never gotten out of government since he got into it, was the SOS. The SOS is actually a cabinet position, and once it's appointed, it stays even if another governor is elected. So let that sink in just a minute. So this is Donelle Harder. She filed papers to serve as the next Secretary of State because that's what Governor Stitt appointed her for, and then discovered that she wasn't eligible because she hadn't lived in the state for 10 years. She goes on to talk about her roots and all of these things. God had to trick me into this system. Now she's right where she needs to be. She's going to serve as the chief of staff to Governor Kevin Stitt. This brief honor being called secretary will be proudly framed on my wall. Here's what hasn't changed. I'm all in with leading Governor Stitt's team as we close this chapter. I'm still thrilled to be working alongside Dustin Hilliary as our chief negotiator, and we'll be announcing more outstanding policy and liaison team members very soon. I'm grateful to work alongside again with my friend, David Ostro, as our COO. I'm also grateful my friend, Benjamin Lepak, has stepped in and agreed to serve as Secretary of State in the interim. He's a brilliant mind and a brilliant legal mind and a great colleague. So Ben Lepak, who is a son of legislator Mark Lepak, had been working as the legal counsel to Governor Stitt, and yet somehow didn't know that Donelle Harder couldn't serve as Secretary of State. That is we've got 16 months left to get a lot done, including standing up a Department of Education as Governor Stitt's first appointment to that agency. So basically, Mrs. Harder is telling us that she's serving with her friends, that this is a friend group, and that Governor Stitt has appointed them all. Now, I'm just curious, were there any comments in there about happy to serve the people? Were there any thoughts at all about we the people? Or was it just about me and my friends and what we're going to do to the state of Oklahoma? Like it's some kind of a business. So let's look at what Mrs. what she's done in the past. So she was on the board of Gateway Mortgage. This is all, again, I don't take anything off of people's private things. It's been done to me and I don't like it, so I don't do that. This is all public stuff. This is on her LinkedIn page. You can go and find it yourself. She was the director she was the director of the board of directors of Gateway, and she's been there since the 2024, and she is still currently there. She is, and I'm going to back up just a little bit. Let's go to the bottom here. So This is just from 2019. She was advisor to Governor Kevin Stitt in 2019. Then she left for some reason, went to create this Polaris Strategies that she worked with, which they then sold to, she then sold to Pinkston. And then she had her own consulting company. So I think the problem is, it doesn't say why she left in 2020 as his senior advisor, but then, you know, she just kind of lands on her feet. But here's what you need to know. Prior to that, she was the communication advisor at the U.S. House of Representatives, the communications director at the U.S. Senate. She was the vice president of the Oklahoma Gas and Oil Association, which is good. And then, okay. Deputy campaign manager for Kevin Stitt for governor, executive team member for Governor-elect Kevin Stitt transition team member. So this is a person who's very connected to Governor Stitt, who is happy to have their friends serve, and they're going to be all together as friends in this office. And this is how we're changing things up. So I don't know how, and again, I'm not making any personal comments about Donelle Harder. I don't know her. I've met her one time. I don't know. She's probably a lovely person, but she does not have the right and appropriate idea about what government is. And government isn't, I'm taking every job I can find in government, and somehow that's, George Washington said it the best, I think. He was not happy that people wanted him to become the first president. And he said over and over again, look, our job isn't to just be government employees. That's not our job. We need people to serve who are inside their districts. We need people constantly stepping up to serve so that it can be a government of we the people. I don't think that's where Mrs. Harder is in this equation. That's not her background. That's not how that works. So then, so she was appointed SOS, and all of a sudden, Josh Cockcroft decides to step down. That's odd. Like so many people, they just quickly decide to step down. And then she couldn't serve. So since she's not able to serve as the SOS, she's been made his chief staff again, basically. So I think this is what and I'm just going to read what I wrote here. I personally think the most telling thing, the most infuriating thing from Harder's Facebook post is that she's all good with her position. She's giddy that the people she's working with now, the same ones she's worked with in the past, are all back together. And isn't that great? She's completely tone deaf to the fact that she doesn't work for Kevin Stitt in a private business. She works for the people of Oklahoma, which is managed for we the people of Oklahoma by Kevin Stitt. Her salary is paid by taxpayers. Therefore, her duty is to the taxpayers, not to Kevin Stitt or to Dustin Hilliard or anybody else. This is a private business mentality. It's not a we the people government mentality. And that's why I call it Oklahoma Inc. So let's talk about some of the other people. So Dustin Hilliard, she brings up, he's now Chief Stitt negotiator. What's that? Well, guess what? We'll never know because there's no job for that on the Oklahoma job catalog. So Governor Stitt basically thinks, again, this is a private business, the state of Oklahoma Inc. And so if there's no business that's in the catalog, the government job position catalog, we'll just invent. I mean, it's what I do in a private business. We'll just invent one and have the taxpayers pay for it, right? Do you see the issue? Do you see the problem? Hilliard has donated quite a lot of money to Stitt, who appointed him to a 9-year term as an Oklahoma State Regent. He's now the chair of that, though he never had a college degree. So he's never had a college degree, yet he's the chair of the Oklahoma State Regents. Okay, so this is from an Oklahoma Post. Hilliard is co-owner of Lawton-based Hillary Communications, a telephone and broadband service. Don't forget, we now have a broadband agency that we're all paying for that's staffed by former representative. Has has more than 15,000 customers in Oklahoma, Texas, and Iowa. Ostro is the president and CEO of O&M Restaurant Group, an Oklahoma City company that operates Taco Bell franchises. Harder has clients through her public relations and consulting work. All three have donated to Stitt's campaign in the past, records show. Hillary donated $9,000, and there's way more than that. They just got part of it. Ostro donated $8,300. Harder has also worked for Stitt's campaign and donated $1,000. Abigail Cave, the communications director for the governor's office, wouldn't say whether the appointees would be required to step away from their non-governmental work. And she also wouldn't say how much these new appointees are being paid. What? Can you do that? Should you do that as the central steward of taxpayer dollars? How is that not the perfect example of he who has the gold makes the rules? Really?
Sounds about right.
So let's talk about Benjamin Lepak. So he's the current son of Representative Mark Lepak. His sister, Sarah Lepak, was Governor Stitt's assistant general counsel at Gateway Mortgage Group for 5 years. She also served on the Oklahoma State Board of Education, one of two not fired when Governor Stitt fired Donald Burdick, Kendra Wesson, and Katie Cubido, until Governor Stitt removed she and the other member, Zach Archer, quietly on October 2nd. So he just removed them too. They hadn't been to board meetings in quite some time. He just got rid of them and then appointed Brian Bobeck and Wes Snowfire. Again, more people who have been involved in the Stitt administration. He just keeps putting them back in there. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, and I want to say one thing, Jenny, also. You know, I think you just have to remember, you know, because you just say it, that, you know, we don't need the government to be run like a business. And what I want to say to that is, when you run anything like a business, there's only one thing that matters at the end of the day to the business, and it's the bottom line of the business. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if the product or whatever it may be harms people, hurts animals, this, that, whatever, damages the environment. All that matters at the end of the day is that almighty dollar on the bottom line of those financials.
It's true. I mean, it's true. So why do you think that there's no interest in, or certainly hasn't been public? Have you heard Governor Stitt come out and say, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this, you know, situation with the Moonies and the, you know, oh my, he hasn't said one thing. No, because it's not on the business bottom line. Yeah. You know, people are not on the business. We, the people, 100%. Are not on the business bottom line. We're not a little, you know, we don't give them, I mean, we don't really give them any money. I mean, he gets money from businesses and private businesses to run his campaigns and all that kind of stuff. We're just a nothing. So Benjamin is the current counsel for the governor. And just like I said, oh, and he was also the executive director of the State Chamber Research Foundation, Oklahoma 21st Century, whatever that means, from November 2020 until Governor Stitt moved him over to be his general counsel. So again, this is Chamber of Commerce, private business, you know, and yet he didn't know that you couldn't hire Donelle Harder for SOS. So I want to explain why that's a problem, because people get on me all the time. You just sound like Governor Stitt, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Personally, I don't know anything about these people. I'm not commenting about what kind of people they are in their private lives, or are they nice? I don't care. I'm just talking about their public lives that we, the taxpayers, have to pay for.
Yeah.
So why is this?
Who they ultimately should be responsible for, which is
bingo,
us.
Bingo. So why is this a problem? I'll explain. There is a process set up by which we, the people, can send in applications to serve on boards and commissions. So let's say I've done a lot of research. I could send in an application and say, hey, I'd like to be considered for a post as a research assistant at blah, 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 whatever is in the job catalog for Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah. I can do that. So then what ends up happening is that essentially the governor's office should sit down and go through these applications and say, okay, well, this person has this and this person has that. And okay, let's sift through these. Okay, well, this person looks like a good fit for that job. Is that happening? If it is, we would never know because all we're getting are Kevin Stitt's friends.
Yeah.
So how would we even know?
Yeah.
So let's review some of Kevin Stitt's appointments, shall we? Just to see how well they've worked out. Let's look at Shelley Zumwalt. According to Shelley Zumwalt's LinkedIn page, she graduated from UCO in 2002 with a BS in Business and Corporate Communications. Somehow there's nothing on her LinkedIn accounts for the years 2010 to 2012. So there's a whole 10 years there. But then suddenly she's the communication manager for OHMS. Okay. After that, it's off to the races with one government job after another. Director of Public Affairs for Governor Mary Fallin, Director of Public Affairs for OHMS. 2019, she was appointed Chief Communications and Strategic Engagement Officer. What the hell is that? There's nothing on the Oklahoma jobs. What is that? Chief Communications and Strategic Engagement Officer. There's no, go look it up. I put the link in here. There is no job for that.
You know, in the business world, Oklahoma is really one of the only states that's really known for this. And it's called nepotism. And you know what that means, Jenny.
Oh, yeah.
And that's literally what you see in the government of the United States. You just see them creating things out of nowhere for friends and family and favors, and, you know, one way or another. And that's literally just how it runs here. I mean, that's literally how it runs here. It's good old boys club. I mean, I say it all the time, the GOB, and that's what we have. This is 100% GOB. If you know somebody, then you're in.
That's it. If you know somebody, then you're in. It doesn't matter. And by the way, when we get into all the other stuff he's been doing, that'll be pretty eye-opening. Okay, so here's what ended up happening with her. So she's of the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. So this woman who graduated from UCO in 2002 with a communications degree is now this engagement officer for the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority. After that, she's in another made-up job, Chief Innovation Officer at OHMS. So she goes back to OHMS. Then she's in an actual job posting, Executive Director, Oklahoma Employment Security Commission. And then finally, the Executive Director at the Oklahoma Tourism Department. But she was essentially forced out of office after Cindy Bird's audit came up and showed that she was using taxpayer pandemic funds incorrectly, and that she essentially paid her husband's software firm millions of dollars in contracts and then turned around and went, well, that's not what's going on here. We didn't do that. I mean, are you kidding me?
Well, and Jenny,
let's talk about Jeffrey Cartmel, who is now the head of DHS under Dana Mooney's son getting kidnapped by OU. So let's talk about Jeffrey Cartmel for a second. He got his Juris Doctorate from OU in 2012, after which he became Governor Mary Fallin's general counsel. So right from OU to bingo, we're in a public office. We're working for Governor Mary Fallin. After that, he just takes on one government job after that, Director and Counsel of the State of Oklahoma Gaming Compliance, Associate Attorney. Then he actually was in private practice for 2 whole years. Deputy General Counsel, Office of Governor Stitt. So from the time Governor Stitt took office in 2019, he'd hired Jeffrey Cartmel. He was working in his office as his general counsel. Then he was counsel to the Secretary of State for several years. Then he was the executive director of the Office of Juvenile Affairs for a year. And then, mind you, he was only there for a year before he gets moved to the state DHS after allegations of widespread abuse at the Tulsa Juvenile Center resulted in lawsuits and investigations at least one person charged for having sex with a minor. So it doesn't matter. So long as you have a government job, it doesn't matter if you do a crap job at it. You just get moved up on the taxpayer dime. This is Jeffrey Cartmel. You can go find this. It's all linked in there. I mean, all of the links. And here's a question. How many people do you know that are moved to a larger oversight job when they've apparently failed at the lesser oversight job? I mean, it's just a good question I think somebody should ask.
I guess it depends on who you know.
So my last paragraph says, I can only hope that Oklahomans have learned a valuable lesson from King Stitt, Governor Kevin King Stitt. King Stitt's tenure. I hope we'll never again fall for a fast-talking businessman with an ethically iffy business background. He wants to turn Oklahoma into a business. His buddies can run on the backs of we the people, because I'm telling you, that's what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it when you were talking about what's her name with Ohms? What wasn't Ohms?
Shelley Zumwalt.
Yeah, they responsible for all of those incremental increases, like all the fee increases all across the board in the motor vehicle division, and I mean, like everywhere you went, like all of a sudden there was a fee tacked on for every single transaction that had to do with the state. I think it all went through Ohms in one way or another.
Well, yeah, that's the central thing, right? Is that. Jeremy says, who gets opportunities and who not in utterly captured industries like internet provision guarantees no uncompromising people make it through the gates. That's true. There are middlemen dispensing our access to middlemen. There are middlemen dispensing our access to middlemen. I don't think I could have said that better. Yeah. Give you that one. Our politicians can possibly be representing our interests while ignoring the captured state of so many human affairs. It's a fact. Excellent article. Thank you very much. Definitely puts everything in perspective. Love you for that. Thank you. This is the Oklahoma Mafia, my 20-year-old who needs to run for office. Yes. If she understands what that is, then yes, she does. Stitt is Oklahoma. Well, I'm not going to say that, John.
Well, maybe
go to the inflammatory.
Hey, he doesn't have to be Hitler in the 40s. He could be Hitler in the early 30s.
During the Weimar Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember all the things that Hitler did. I mean, he went in, they redid all the money, they kicked out a bunch of certain businesses and things. I mean, they did a lot of business type transactions those 10 years prior, to set that entire thing up.
Well, I get that. I mean, I think that's true, but I think what's happening right now, what's so distressing to me as a person who has actually read the Constitution and has a 100% fleshed out idea of what government is supposed to do. We are not a business, and we have Governor Stitt treating us like a business and all of his little employees, and we have our president treating the whole damn country like it's a business.
Well, and if I can make another comment on that specific, that's not your idea there, but that specific truth. In the beginning with the Constitution, you didn't have corporations. You could incorporate for a very short amount of time for a certain type of civil project or something like that. Like you'd have to have a corporate charter that says, hey, we're going to build this dam or this, or, for this community in one way or another. And then when that corporate when that work was done, that corporate charter dissolved, it was over. There was no more corporation. So, I mean, the founders did not set this, they didn't have business in mind in any capacity. And that actually, they probably, by doing it that way and having expiration dates on those corporations and things, they were warning against it, in my opinion.
That is, that's probably one of the most excellent things that you've said on this program, and you're full of excellent things to say on this program, but that was an excellent one. You could not have pegged that any better, Michael, because you basically showed that it's been this Chamber of Commerce making money push that has turned America into America Inc. and certainly Oklahoma into Oklahoma Inc. Jeremy has some good things. Wasn't it Truman that initially sold the government as a business deal? I don't remember, honestly. What a crock of corporatocracy. I love that. It was an excuse to get into bed with the corporations that have been running things off and on for some time. The financiers use incorporation to get things done in the world. And that's why we have the limited liability clause and all, which nobody follows anymore. Finally, what happened after we got rid of AT&T because it was antitrust and you can't be that big? How do we have Walmart and Sam's and blah, 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 all of this nonsense?
Microsoft, Google.
Microsoft.
I mean, every tech, it's because, Jenny, it's because of one thing. They're all in bed with the government, and the government, or like I showed in the one podcast with InQtel, the CIA's venture capital firm, they fund these corporations. They allow, because they identify the technology, 10 years before anybody else. They know that this is going to be the biggest thing because the government helps make them the biggest thing. So now they're partners, and they give the government everything they want. That's literally where we're at. We're under like a complete surveillance control grid with all these. I mean, you just pick any major corporation. That's what it is.
Well, and Robert said, running government like a business is code for imperialism. I mean, there's no way around that. Interesting how balancing budgets get richer while we get poorer. And preach. I'm not preach, Jeremy, because it's screwed up.
And we're not only getting poorer, they're destroying the value of our purchasing power on purpose on top of it.
I agree.
Because the government has an unlimited supply, so they can.
Yep. And like Shelley points out, they're supposed to be bids. So you should be able to get an appointment if you're qualified. Jeffrey Cartmel is not qualified to run DHS. There's nothing about him in his background that makes him qualified other than he needed to be moved from Tulsa because there was a giant screw up there. Somebody proved me wrong. I'll be happy to say I'm wrong if I'm wrong, but there's nothing in his background that indicates any kind of work at all in DHS kind of work. So yes, Jeremy says corporations and empires both always expand to fill the container like an evil goldfish. I love that. There's a bill. 100%. Legislators cannot have family members that are paid lobbyists. Amy, you do realize that there is an IN before justice system now, right? It doesn't matter what the law says. It doesn't matter anything like that. They're going to do what they want. And they've gotten away with it because we, the people, have been going to OU games and Thunder games and getting our bread in circuses and not paying any attention to these people, which is exactly the way they wanted it to be. And now look where we are. Shelley says Title 21-4, 81 and 485 prohibit officials from appointing relatives to any office, position, or board. Title 60, 178.8 for public trust also forbids trustees or beneficiaries from appointing themselves or family members to paid positions within the trust. But see, it doesn't cover buddies. It doesn't, like in Donelle Harder's post that I put up there, where she talks about all her friends and we're so happy to be all together as friends here at College Home Week. It doesn't.
Well, and I guess, Jenny, also, if there's a new entity or a new department or new somebody, what's stopping them from hiring one of the family members or, whatever, maybe one or two people removed from that appointment position?
Well, and in this next piece that I'm going to show you, I'll mention that to you. But here's another thing. So we have Nellie Tayloe Sanders, who was appointed the Secretary of Education. Her husband, Mike, used to be a state representative, and he was put in charge of this new broadband group, right? So, how is that not? You can't say it's nepotism. That's how this stuff works. You can't say it's nepotism because it's not Mike appointing his own wife to be the whatever. But these people run in packs and they don't care about the we of the people. Anarchy cannot possibly be worse than what we have in place right now. I don't know. I don't want to have to go out and fight somebody for a chicken leg. Lisa, I really don't know that I want to do that. But then on the other hand, Oklahoma Meeting Act still applies. All state boards, commissions, and task forces must post agendas deliberate. But here I'm going to tell you that they don't. I have gone through the Commerce Department. I have looked at the stuff that they've been doing when I was doing all that research on the all of the incentives that we give private businesses here in Oklahoma under Kevin Stitt, and they just don't have to say. I mean, they give these, they put it out, but it's in these little dribbles that I mean, you can't find anything really out about it. The problem is that the laws are there, but nobody makes them follow it. Ugh. Well, and that's true. Exactly. Okay, let me go on because this has not been published yet. But I want to go on. Golly, we've got so many comments, and I just love you guys for all your comments, and you have great comments. I really want to get to this because I think you guys are going to want to know this stuff. So my next one, it hasn't been published yet. Notice the screen up there. Republican Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt channels Democrat Obama with his new education turnaround team. And if you don't think I know what I'm talking about, this was my backyard. This is how I got my start, was chewing on what Obama was doing. And I want to point this out. Why do you suppose it's important to use the word workforce to describe people who are or will be employed? Why not employees? Why are we talking about workforce? Answer, so people can be accustomed to be widgets, not individuals. If you say workforce, that's a whole group. You've removed the individuality, the I am an employee. Here are some, these are my employees. Here's an employee. You've removed all of that stuff. It's just mental training to make you believe that you're a widget. Who's the Constitution made for? Individuals, not groups. Just a point on that. What about the phrase community? Community is a group of individuals. But you know what? If you talk about community, because that's all these people do, if you talk about community, it just makes people easier led because they're like, oh, well, my neighbor's doing it too, then, bah, 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 and they follow right along like a sheep. So be aware. You are an individual. The Constitution is about individuals. Everything is about individuals. When they want to make you into a group, when they want to treat you like a group, when they want to call you a group, when they want to put you into a group, that is absolutely not compatible with the Constitution at all. What about the phrase data-driven? Answer, data is science. Science has become the God of all of the people today. If we didn't learn anything from COVID, that's what we learned, is that there are people who literally believe that science is God. That's it. So think about it. If science knows better than people,
Jenni, who's funding that science? That's that next level up. That's the government, and that's these major corporations. That's
absolutely
not organic people in their garage creating stuff or discovering stuff or, coming up with anything that is good for humanity.
Yep. So if science is God, science has to know better about people than people can know about people. Think on that. So there's no argument about a child's trajectory in life then if you say, well, the data says this. No mess, no fuss. It's not messy. But Mom and Dad, I'd like to be a firefighter when I grow up. Well, if the data says you're supposed to be an aerospace engineer because the state's giving the industry $1 million in tax credits, then Johnny gets to be an aerospace engineer, not a fireman, right? In 2008, Barack Obama became our 49th president. And let's not ever forget, what was his slogan? Change. That was it. Change. That was his whole damn slogan. So what did he do? He set about creating a socialist paradise in this country, which has nearly dismantled every localized thing from insurance to education to everything. He just basically socialized all of it. And if you don't get it, for God's sakes, pull your head out of your back end and go do a little bit of research. Don't get inflammatory on me and go, well, you're far right because you think everything's Marxist and socialist. Well, no, you're an idiot then, because I actually research and can see it. If you don't, it's because you're not doing that. Not because I'm wrong. Sorry, just to say. So in the place of localized education standards, Obama worked with the National Governors Association, of which Governor King Stitt just became chair. And I really want you to look at his Igniting the Dream initiative. Okay. It's down at the bottom. Look through it. It's all about workforce and all this same BS crap that they're talking about now. So don't forget, Mary Fallon was also a chair of the National Governors Association from 2013 to 2014, and she pushed Common Core standards the whole way. I mean, we almost got arrested one time because we were pushing back against her at one of her little speeches, and she almost had us all kicked out. Anyway, so think about Common Core. Unbelievably, the CCSS, the Common Core State Standards, have been found to be a complete failure. Look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up. Complete failure. Every state that adopted them, there was never any increase in test scores after the CCSS. They also ramped up the state longitudinal database, working with the National Center for Education Statistics, and developed the Common Education Data Standards Initiative to create thousands of data points so that every school around the country could collect information on every student enrolled in public school in the United States to help them learn better. How does the state knowing that my kid has brown eyes help them learn better? I'm curious, because if you don't think they're collecting this information, there's a seeds out there for that. There absolutely is. Brown hair, your blood type, there's a seeds out there for your blood type. This is for kids. Why do you think they want health care and schools? That initiative's failed too. It doesn't help anybody learn collecting all this information on him, or it would have. He started this in 2009, all of this stuff. We haven't seen any appreciable score improvement since then. So all of this is a giant boondoggle. But besides an initiative to grade teachers, because Obama had 4 pillars of this change that he was going to bring about. So one was CCSS, one was the state longitudinal database system. This other thing was grading teachers, the teacher effectiveness system. So the other one was called the turnaround model. And what the turnaround model did was it was supposed to turn around failing schools using these school improvement grants, which of course are paid for by taxpayers. But guess what? That was an absolute failure to the tune of $7 billion. But yet Governor King Stitt is going out talking about his turnaround in education. Does that make you sick or what?
Yeah, those,
so
those proficiencies and everything else is really going up. So I guess it's probably working. It's
such a pile of crap. So this week, Governor King Stitt took full advantage of the fact that Ryan Walters quit. He was elected. Ryan Walters was elected in that position. But what ended up happening was Governor King Stitt tells the public he's going to ask the legislature to make the state superintendent position appointed because there isn't enough alignment between the governor's office and the state superintendent if that position is not appointed. No, absolutely not. The more positions that are appointed, the less we, the people, have a say. This is a democratic republic. Yeah. People vote. This is all BS. We're not going to have that. No, you are not going to take another voting position away from we, the people, period. And the idea, Governor King Stitt, that you even think that's a good idea shows that you are not an appropriate person to run any form of government because you don't understand what it's about. It's about you to you. It's not about we the people. Gosh, I get so mad. Plus, let's point out he's had all these failed appointments. Okay, so the next thing he does is he moves around his office staff. So we talked about Donelle Harder in the earlier thing, and Josh Cockcroft leaves, and all of this kind of stuff. So he's moved all of these people around. Then he appoints this new replacement for Secretary Walters, Lindel Fields, whose pronouns are nice and kind, who is in every way complete opposite of Ryan Walters. He actually shed tears during the press conference where he talked about it. He actually cried about his role and how, think about what we're doing here. We went from this to this, completely polar opposite.
Yeah.
His accreditations, Lindel Fields, our new secretary of our new state superintendent of education, his accreditations come from a place called Giant Worldwide. Include certification in something called 5 Voices and include, get this, an SSGI Baldrige Foundation Diversity and Inclusion Yellow Belt certification from Six Sigma Global Institute. Very local. And didn't we have some kind of like a law thingy about DEI? But this is our new state superintendent. Okay. Governor King Stitt appoints a new Secretary of Education. His name is Daniel Hamlin. His background includes University of Oklahoma professor. He was educated both in Asia, in Seoul, on Asian studies, got a master's in Asian studies, and Canada, where he got a PhD from Ontario Institute for Studies in Education, Educational Leadership and Policy. So he's got advanced degrees from 2 socialist countries.
Jenni,
This is your Secretary of Education.
That is a phenomenal amount of credentials between those people right there. That's like the new buzzwords of I'm in the good old boys club. I'm in the group going forward, directing where this country's going. That's all I need to get my yellow belt in DEI.
Yeah, yellow belt in diversity and inclusion. It's a yellow belt.
How about we just take our black belts in liberty and start kicking some ass somewhere? That's what we need to start doing.
We'll kick all the yellow belt DEI people with our black belt. Okay, but hold on. It's even worse. This Daniel Hamlin thing is even worse. So he's worked at OU for the last 7 years, but before that, he was at Oxford for 8, the University of Toronto for 4. He is also Jeb Bush-adjacent. He's worked with Jeb Bush on things, and he has an itch to control homeschooling.
Wow.
This is our new Secretary of Education, Daniel Hamlin, educated in socialist countries.
But Jenni, who else besides you? Where are you going to hear this at? Who else is looking at this guy? What other news outlet? Who else in this state is trying to show the people what the hell is going on over there?
I'll tell you who Katie Smith is. And she's fixing to do even more than I've done. This is just the grand 30,000 foot overview. You wait until Katie Smith at V1SUT gets done with this. I can't wait. She's going to be on here in a couple of weeks, so we'll talk about it then. Okay, so Governor King Stitt appoints his Obama-style turnaround team at the Department of Education, where he puts Tom Newell, who is a former Oklahoma State representative from 2011 to 2017. But then, interestingly, he leaves in 2016, right before the teacher walkouts come, and then Chris Kennedy gets together as PAC to out all the conservatives. But he's just somehow left before all of that happened. That's Tom Newell, who was his chief of staff, but he got kicked out of that position for Donelle. So then they had to move Tom to the Department of Education to work there because according to Governor Stitt, Tom's his guy and he will be working for him because there are no we the people in that. Then Nellie Tayloe Sanders, who was married to Broadband Office operator, former state representative Mike Sanders. She was kicked out of the Secretary of Education chair for globetrotting Dan Hamlin, and she will now go over to the State Department of Education. So do you see how this is just revolving door? This is the definition of swamp creature. This is it right here. Okay. Then Governor King Stitt filled Megan's, he also said, sorry, I missed this one. He moves Megan Oftedal from the OEQA, the Oklahoma Education Quality and Accountability, which is a joke. I mean, what accountability? She's been working to collect data on all students and fit them together. That's what that whole SB 224 was about. So he moved her from the OEQA. Now he's moved her into the Department of Education, where under the cover of all of this non-accountability nonsense, Mrs. Oftedal will be creating ways to stick more data together with students, because data is king. Data is everything. So she's gone from there, and in her place, they put in the current Oklahoman Chamber of Commerce president, Connie Riley, who was an educator in Oklahoman schools and was appointed to the Board of Regents of the Regional University System, Oklahoma, by Brad Henry in 2007, and she's been reappointed to that position ever since. Absolutely swamp creature. Absolutely. And why would you, after so many decades of being a teacher at Oklahoman, decide that it's now time for you to be in the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
I don't know, but after I quit teaching, my impulse wasn't to go to the Chamber of Commerce. I'm just saying, whatever. Governor King Stitt then replaced his two friends on the Oklahoma State Board of Education, and this is an important one. Quietly, without any fanfare at all, I only found it in one, I think it was an Oklahoman article. So Kevin Stitt takes off Sarah Lepak, who we've already talked about, and Zach Archer, who were the two board members that weren't fired when Kendra Wesson and the other two were let go over whatever BS Kevin Stitt made up to get rid of them, the people. So after that, he had Sarah, and don't forget, Sarah Lepak was his attorney at Gateway Mortgage. So the Lepaks and the Stitts, you know, they're friends apparently, or we're just where they work together quite frequently. So Sarah Lepak was Governor Stitt's general counsel at Gateway. And then she was on the board with Zach Archer. And so just very quietly on the second, he took both of them off, and in their place, he put Brian Bobeck, who's already been on the State Board of Education, and Wes Nofire. So explain to me how Brian Bobeck, who left BP Oil after 23 years, came to work for Governor Stitt and has never left. So he has never, since 2019, Governor Stitt brought him over. He's always been something in Governor Stitt's. He's been the deputy chief of staff, the chief operating officer of something. I don't even know what it was. It just says chief operating officer, Governor Stitt, and is now his director of faith-based initiatives, which, by the way, is not a constitutional program that we're told that taxpayers aren't funding, yet nobody has ever seen how that's not happening. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you suppose Kendra Wesson ever heard that she had been fired? You suppose? She did not.
Yeah.
He didn't even have the courtesy, nor did anybody else from his office have the courtesy to notify Kendra Wesson that she had been removed from the textbook committee chair. So he moved all of these things around. And then as Lindel Fields comes in, he apparently cans Kendra, doesn't call, he's so nice. And yet he didn't call Kendra and say anything. Governor Stitt did. Nobody. She had to find out when I texted her and said, hey, did you know that you're not the chair of the textbook committee anymore? And she was like, no.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
Almost, like, I don't get depressed, but it's like so in your face.
It is in your face.
Once you kind of see a little bit, it's just so in your face. I mean, it's just like, it's not just a slap in your face. It's like a complete just punch right in your face. Like, F you, nothing you can do about it. You know, too bad.
You're not my friend, so you don't get to do anything because you're not my friend. And this is a business, and I'll hire who I want. Thank you. That's exact. I have talked to so many legislators who've been around for years, and they say that this particular administration under Governor Stitt is the just craziest they've ever seen. Just completely not at all for the people. There's no even pretense that it's for the people. It's all, everything's run as a business, and we're just supposed to get on board and go, oh, great. Thank you, dear leader, for doing whatever you want. It's pathetic. And it pisses me off because I'm a Republican, and I've been a Republican since I could vote. The day I turned 18, for whatever reason, because we were not, I mean, I don't even know why. I registered as a Republican, I think because I loved Ronald Reagan. And I registered as a Republican, and I've been that. The only time I ever voted Democrat was I voted for Bill Clinton in his first term.
Oh, Bill.
He played the sax. He wanted change. I didn't want another Bush. I was like, this is going to be okay. Yeah, that's the only time I have ever voted for a Democrat anything. I've never changed my affiliation. It's always been. But here's the thing. I know what a Republican is supposed to be, and it's not Kevin Stitt, and it's nobody in his administration.
Yeah. Well, what do we do? I mean, do we need to get rid of all these appointments? How do we shift the power around so this can't happen? I mean, is it all legislative issue? Are they the ones that are allowing all this to happen? I mean, what do we actually do in your opinion, Jenni?
Well, I think there are several things at play here. I think number one, people have got to understand the difference between running a state as a business and running a state for we the people. That's what's got to happen first of all. And people have got to pull their heads out of butts and start actually paying attention to what's going on. That's got to be the first thing. And then the second thing is when you see stuff like this, you better be willing to either run yourself and get that position yourself and be a person who believes in we the people. You better be able to do that. Or if you don't want to do that and that's just not your bag, you better make sure you go out and get a we the people elected.
Yeah.
We have to do that because what's going on is so much of this is bad legislation that's allowing corruption to happen and corrupt things to go on. So that needs to be stopped. People need to quit pushing the green button all the time. And we're going to have Jason Murphy on again, hopefully next month, to talk about he did put out the index of green button pusher voters. Remember, he was going to do that. My representative, John George, votes green 98% of the time.
Yeah.
He actually only voted no on 20 bills the entire year. Don't you think that's crazy?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some.
Well, is that all just party pressure? I mean, is that what it really comes down to? The party just saying, vote with us?
It comes down to people electing people who are easily influenced and go into government for the wrong reasons. Because people don't vet candidates. They don't talk. I think we're the only probably podcast that goes out there and actually allows people to vet candidates and to talk with candidates. I mean, I don't know, but people have got to start vetting candidates because they'll tell you these things. That's a waste of your time. It only tells you what they want you to know. You need to know what they do and do not know. And I knew Gentner Drummond was full of crap the first time I met him because I said, just out of curiosity, is there a separation between church and state? And he said, no. Wasn't it that one? Anyway, I ask people questions and I expect them to answer. And you see, Jeremy says, you can't use the rules to clear out the corruption because the corrupt have already learned to game the system. Yeah, the state is 100%. A vulnerability for the people, and that was by design, as the nature of the state is political capture.
Yeah.
Wish that wasn't true. The powers that be are counting on our perpetual. Oh, I love that. Forgetism. Yeah. We need to coin that term, Earl's daughter, forgetism. This is how they keep appointing the same predators and friends of the predators. This is why I love your channel. Promote rememberism.
Yeah.
we're going to have to figure something out if we don't want it to come to anarchy. It's already at anarchy. I'm sorry, Connie, but if it's not at anarchy right now, explain to me how Dana Mooney's son is still imprisoned at OU. If we're not at our anarchy, that wouldn't be happening. I think the problem is we need to wrap our brains around the fact that we have neglected our government. We put it on autopilot. The plane flew into the ground. Now we're going to have to start figuring out a way to piece it back together and get it back flying again. Forgetism. We need to have that. Bingo. No one makes them follow it. We need to start a fund to hold them legally accountable. Yes. I don't personally expect to have all my comments read. I was pleasantly surprised by the level of audience engagement you guys hold yourself to. But you don't see that as a rock hard contract, I hope. Just have fun, pick and choose. We have a lot of comments. You do, but a lot of them are good. And Jeremy, a lot of yours are too. So, I mean, it's good to put that in there.
Well, you pretty much hit every comment, I think, that comes up, Jenny.
Well, I try to.
I mean, unless we just completely just happen to miss one. I mean, I think we pretty much read every comment that hits.
Yeah.
Whether we agree with them or not.
Yeah, because that's what, I mean, it's a call-in show, right, Michael?
It will be. The proper equipment and technician. We need a real technician.
You're getting there, buddy. You're the best. Individuation and collectivization both serve the elite in turn. It's important to understand that the extreme of either, well, that's a pretty good point, can present ample opportunity for the controller class. That's a pretty good comment. Individuation. Yeah, I'll have to think. Give me an individuation example though, because I'm not sure I'm following that one, but people who want to control, Jeremy, will find a way to control.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like they'll just figure it out. School and government has succeeded in making citizens their subjects. Yep. That's another t-shirt we need, Michael, one that says, I am not a subject of my government.
Yeah. And really, when you think about it, I mean, they're only getting in government for one of two things, or the combination or multiplication of both of these things is for enrichment, personal enrichment, and power in one way or another. I mean, that's literally, there is no more representation in any capacity, or serving the people in any capacity in any way. I mean, think about it, Jenny, like when you were a kid, the people that were on your school board and at your city council, those were the pillars of your community. The people that, did a lot of work and just, did a lot of stuff for free for the community in itself. Yeah. Now it's all, pay to play. We're going to do this, and in return in one way or another. I mean, things have just changed in our culture so much to the side of just, these professional politicians.
Well, and if I did one thing, I hope I showed by reading those things out that's exactly what we have right now. We just have professional politician class.
Yeah.
We just have perpetual professional government class. They're not
professional
we the people.
Government. Yeah.
Are you telling me you couldn't have found anybody in Oklahoma that could run a broadband office in the state? Even if we should have one, we shouldn't. That's enlarging government, and we shouldn't have it in the first place. But are you telling me that there's nobody out there that can do that? Are you telling me that Connie Riley can sit on the state regents of local universities for 14 years and there's nobody better than her that can be appointed? How does that happen?
Yeah.
And let me say this. At some point, wouldn't you say, hey, you know what? I've had enough now. It's probably somebody else's turn.
Yeah. But like as an example, Jenny, look at like, let's take maybe Oklahoma City and Tulsa, kind of out of the mix. Look at these kind of Edmond size and smaller towns. I mean, look at the civic engagement at school board alone. You've got members on these school boards that have been there for 20, 30, even 40 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of the blame is on us because we're allowing, we're not engaging properly in the animating contest, of liberty. We're not engaging in that. And so now we are where we are.
Yeah. 100%. It is our fault. My job was sold to another corporation. I immediately made the comment, so slavery still exists. Next day, I was in HR with the VP of Gateway Computers and the HR head of Martin Marietta. Yeah, it's crazy. They actually never let us go. If you look at the histories, there's a continuity of finance falling over from the mercantilist days, probably true. And Marcus's breach. Inus's breach. Theft. Yes, absolutely. Governor King is the most accurate title ever these days. Well, I like saying, yeah. So you do King Stitt. So it's King Stitt. So it's Governor King Stitt.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to back off of that. There's no way that makes me believe that he is anything other than that. There's no job less fit for a man than to rule his fellow man. I love there's no job less fit for a man than to rule his fellow man. Yeah, because what makes you better than everybody else to do that job? See, that was the beauty of our founders. They knew that they were flawed people. They knew that they weren't perfect people. And that was what was so great is we have no humility today. I am governor, right? I mean, there's no humility. It's not like people go, oh my gosh, I flubbed that up. Sorry about that. Let's make this better. Nobody ever says that in government anymore. Nobody ever says, I don't know what I'm talking about here. Let me pull in somebody else and let's sit down and work through this. And maybe there's none of that. I mean, it just doesn't exist.
Well, and let me tell you a conversation I had with my 14-year-old literally just yesterday. We were talking about math and his application of math further and things like that. And I told him, I said, Cade, what makes me so good at a lot of things is that I know that I don't know. And there's so much more to learn. There's so much more to master about every single subject. I said, you will never see me say, I know it, or I have the complete answer, or I'm right, or this or that, because I know that I don't know. And I said that I want you to have that mentality because then you're always open to whatever the real truth of whatever it is may be. And I said, when you tell me that you already know this, I said, I know you don't know. I said, I know that you're closed off. You can't accept any new information into your mind because you have that mentality. So, I mean, that's you're spot on right there.
Right. I mean, the best thing about any man should be measured by the level of humility they have, because then you know that person literally is. Well, I would automatically probably say they were God-fearing, because you have to have humility in the face of God. And we just don't. And you have so many Christians today. I mean, Governor King Stitt says that he's Christian. I just have yet to see how that plays out personally, but that doesn't mean, and that was mean, because no Christian should question somebody else's Christianity, but we can question what we see, because we can't question anybody's heart and their Christianity, but we can see the fruits of what people do. And, he has a faith-based initiative office that we have somebody getting, I assume, tax dollars paid to do, and whose religion, and there are just so many. I have so many questions about everything. I'm feeling famous Jenni throat punching coming. I don't like the guy at all. Sorry, me either. Whose pronouns are nice and kind. Well, I mean, come on. How many people do you know? So we go from Ryan Walters, who, and we all know how I feel about Ryan Walters, but we all go from that to I'm crying at a press conference. I mean, there's an obvious shiv there to the people. I mean, the people elected Ryan, and whether you liked him or not, the people elected him. I voted for him in the general election. I voted for him. He was my pick. I wouldn't have voted for a person who's crying at a press conference. I just don't, I mean, that wouldn't have been my pick. So I just feel like it's kind of a shiv to parents, who are like, look, I feel like we need somebody who's going to come in and try to make some change and get some things moving along. And do you know that every single person that I have read who has come, oh, Lindel Fields, he's great. Do you know that it's been from the leftist teachers organizations? I mean, Jamie Cole has come, they've had her all over the papers. Well, we're just so excited about Lindel Fields. We feel like he's going to be great. Why am I supposed to be happy about that? Why am I supposed to be happy that the head of the leftist teachers organizations in Oklahoma, who has accused people of being all kinds of things, including Christian nationalists, and she's okay with this guy? How am I supposed to be okay with that?
Well, she was even chiming in on my school board race.
Amy says, I'm still in that line, want to see my black belt in Liberty. Michael, you did that one. That's a good one. We are a socialist state. Yes, we are now. Wow. Well, we'll come and take them if you can, I guess. We're just all sitting around waiting on crooks to be crooks. Yeah. It's just,
Well, I was just going to say to that, Jeremy, I mean, I think it's going to have to get a whole lot worse before anything really changes. I mean, I think it's going to have to get a lot worse.
Well, I tend to agree with what he says there. Forgetism and time disintermediation. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, that's true. It's just like somebody else was saying earlier. We do practice forgetism. Yeah. Who remembers about Obama and the turnaround thing and Common Core and what all of that was and how bad that was for taxpayers and Americans and kids and that whole thing?
Well,
why doesn't anybody remember that?
Well, but that's how. And remember, we've talked about this a couple times. Remember my analogy from finance, Jenny. If you're an hourly worker, you can't think about your financial situation, your money, your investments, 5 or 10 years from now. A salary guy, an hourly worker is looking at, hey, I need to make this much in order to get through today or this week. Where, a salaried guy, he's looking at kind of the end of the month, he may be looking at about a year. Large investment people, the people with the money, the people that, make these rules, they're looking 10 years from now. 20 years from now, it's just we're so locked down in the day-to-day, every single little activity. We don't have time to think about it. It's that incrementalism, that forgetism that's killing us, because we don't remember all those little things that have led up to this deal. Hopefully we can remember.
So I'm just going to go through are you going to show your shirt again now that we have all these people on? I do not.
I will be wearing that in public today.
Your wife is going to be so mad. Michael says there's no representation. Jenny said similar. When enough of us admit it, so we can flip the board and maybe go back to living upon this earth together. But I mean, again, you're going to have to get people to believe that. I like your second point, but Jim Shaw's success is the exception, not the rule. Look at the governor's race. Of the people running, what are chances of getting ethical for Oklahoma, like, Jake or Mike or, who would make appointments by merit? And that's something, Becky, that's an interesting point, because that is something we need to be thinking about when we elect our next governor. And maybe we should be asking those questions out loud. Mike Mazie, Jake Merrick, what appointments are you going to be making? Are you going to be making them because, hey, I know so-and-so and I think I'm going to stick him in here? Or are you going to allow people, the people, to submit our applications like we're supposed to do and go through them and pick the people who are the best for the slot?
Yeah.
Jenny, you do a great job with the comments. If I was reading comments and commentary, I'd be like a super ball being thrown around like a toddler. I love that. Amber says, first thing I hear when I join live is Jenny's outrage. Man, I miss y'all. We miss you too,
Yeah,
Amber. Dang it. Well, and here's the thing that John gets to. How many pedos will he give their certification back to? So I just talked to Kendall this morning, and one has already been given back their certification. So yeah, this isn't a parents first agenda. I'm just going to let you know. I don't see it. It doesn't appear to me. Jeremy says, oh, hey, Kim, by chance you tell me why the upcoming Liberty Convention is selling tickets for 2:30 Speckers when it appears to be mainly an activist training camp? They should pay us to integrate into their version of the cure. They're selling a political solution to a political problem. Okay, well, Jeremy, I will tell you straight up that it's me and Kendra Weston that put this whole thing together. I would love for it to be free. I would love to just be able to have it and do it. It was my idea to have it at a place where all people could get together and stay together, because part of the problem we have is that we're very disjointed. You have a group over here, you have a group over here, you have a group, and sometimes they don't communicate. And the absolute worst thing for people in power is when we all start communicating. And when you're at this thing, even though I know it costs a chunk to go, I'm not saying it doesn't. We are trying to scholarship as many people as we can, and we are actively going out and asking for donations to make that happen, to augment those tickets. So thank you to all of those people who are paying the full price for tickets and who have helped sponsor, and you'll see those people at the roll at the end of the show. But Jeremy, the whole idea was that people need to understand how to affect their government. And too many people that Michael and I have talked to, and all of the other activists that have been around for years, too many people that we talk to don't even understand how to get active in their school board, don't understand that they have a city council, don't understand what the county commissioners do, or what kind of power they have. So the whole idea was to have it at a place where people could be together for 2.5 or 3 days, whatever is more like 2.5 days, 2 days. They could be together and make those connections, meet each other, say, oh my gosh, I met him at the Liberty Conference. I met her. Let's exchange emails so that we can be talking, to figure out how to use the Liberty Oklahoma website so that people can get on and put their events on, and the things that are actually going on, and the laws that are coming up that we need to all follow. So I understand what you're saying. It is not cheap, and I apologize for that. That was my vision. So you can blame me for that. But the whole idea was to get everybody together to create these lasting bonds between us, because when there are more of us than them, but we can't actively be that group if we don't know who each other are. So I hope that explains a little bit more to you behind the thought process behind that. It's not just if you have a problem with it, you come to me and talk to me about it. I know there are people who don't want to come. That's fine. We were just trying to do something that we thought was going to be helpful for people to coalesce and to be able to find one another, meet one another, learn together how to push back against what we're seeing right now. So,
well, and no one's making any money on that deal. That's pretty much just the straight through to pay costs of Okana, the food, and all that stuff.
And I'll just tell you, I put thousands of dollars into my own money into it to get it off the ground. So sorry, Jeremy, nobody making money here. This isn't the government here to help you. This is actual people trying to do something to help people overcome what they're seeing and learn what liberty is and how to attack it and how to make forward steps.
And before you hit that, and one other comment from Jeremy on your conference there, Jenny, was he was just asking, why couldn't we just get it, do it in a field with some tents or something?
because it doesn't work like that. And because I've tried to do things over the years, like I said, and again, I've had people who have been skewering me over the fact that it's Oklahoma and it's a native owned property. And I'm like, wow, that's, I guess I'm not really into demonizing a particular group of people over, whatever. Again, if we don't like certain things, then we need to get involved with our government and push back on them, but demonizing a whole group of people doesn't work for me. So you can throw that one at me too.
Well, and I'll just say, Jenny, I'll just say also, there's nothing stopping anyone else from doing, some type of liberty conference or, get together. That's what we want. Ultimately, we don't want just one or two people, trying to do this. We want everybody, in some capacity, compete, not competing.
Absolutely. But sure.
Contributing, time and energy into those projects.
Yeah, I'm not making a living at this. I don't want to become some event planner. That's not what this was. This is, if we don't get together before 2026 and the elections and the legislative session in February, no words. Within our school districts across the nation, we're dealing with transhumanism agenda. For those of us who are Christians, we need to understand transhumanism is exactly what we're dealing with. When he built the ark, God's judgment was coming upon the earth because of the involvement in transhumanism. I know people get tired of me saying this, but for this reason, if my children were still young and in school, I'd be getting them out of school. And transhumanism is a thing. Absolutely. So the problem continues to be that we have an elite class controlling our incentives and farming and attention to energy. That's true. Remember Laura Bush's well, it was not just Laura Bush. It was Bush Sr. And I've got a big article about that on rope2.org. You can go look at that. Everybody likes your shirt. The whole point of Movement 32 is that Jim Shaw's campaign doesn't need to be the exception to the rule. If we all show up and vote for the good guy, we can win every time. And that's a fact. That's actual factual. The question is, what is everyone doing to rally voters in their district? People can bare minimum recruit one person over the next few months to vote grassroots. Then they would never be able to regain control again. Let's go Oklahoma. I completely get that. And I didn't realize you organized it. Sorry, I came on so strong. Well, now you know.
Well, that's a legitimate question, Jenny, from Jeremy anyway, because, for all we know, there was just, someone's out there trying to collect a bunch of money on, a bunch of grassroots people talking about liberty. So,
I get it.
I'm glad he asked that question because, it is from you. It was you're the genesis of that, and you want to affect change in the state, and you feel that's the best way to do it. At least.
Well, I just thought it was a way. I'm not the best at anything. I'm well aware of that. I just thought it would be a way to get people together, to come together, to, because I kind of patterned it on for years, we used to go to something called the Education Policy Conference, which was an Eagle Forum kind of offshoot. That was run by a lady named Donna Hearn. She since has passed. And unfortunately, that conference was her baby. So nobody else has picked it up. But we used to go to that every year. It was in St. Louis. It was great because we were stuck in that hotel with all those same people. I learned so much from just having people around me talk about what was going on in their state with Common Core. And it was just a great way to network with other people. And I just thought, that's kind of what we need here. If we don't start networking, if we don't start realizing who's who, if we don't figure out how to get assimilated into some of these groups and that these groups can talk back and forth, I guarantee you that's what they don't want us doing.
Yeah. Well,
I guarantee you they don't.
Yeah. Look, we're divided, not just Republicans, Democrats, or liberals, or right, left. We're so splintered in the grassroots side with all the different groups and pods and everybody, having their own little deal. That's what they want. That's what the people that are in control of this Capitol want, because we're so disorganized. We're not unified in any capacity, so they can go do whatever they want. As soon as we can all get on the same page, at least a decent amount of us can all get on the same page about ABC, then we can go start making some changes.
Yeah, and Sherry said that's why she and Kendra like going to conferences all over the country. I mean, it really is kind of just nice to be able to sit around with people who have your same thoughts and learn something and then be able to go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that person did that. So that's really hello, you can wait a second. The dog's like, okay, one of them, the other 4 downstairs. One of them's like, hey, it's already been 2 hours. You need to get off. John Boy says, yeah, it's expensive in one viewpoint, yet it's cheap to learn some of the materials presented to educate you. Even more so are your freedom and liberties worth the $230? Thank you. I appreciate that, John. I do appreciate that. So anyway, I hope people learned some things from the podcast today. And if the one thing you learned is what the proper role of government is, please go tell other people.
Yeah. It's up to us. Like we've always said, it's up to us. Has Trump done anything to save us here? With our situation, with our local government, with our state government, with the appointment of all these people, with the corruption, this and that. No one's coming to save us in this deal. We have to do it. We say it all the time. But I like to hammer that because it's up to us.
Well, and I think people don't even understand. I think, there were people that were like all on board with Stitt because he was a business person and, we need to run the state like a business. And they don't understand why that is fundamentally wrong and bad. And if you just explain it to them, this is the reason why we can't run government like a business. Number one, what happens if you don't pay your Oklahoma tax dollars? What happens, Michael? Do they come get you? Do they fine you and then eventually put you in jail? What if you don't pay your property taxes? Do they take your house? This isn't a joke.
Not your house. It's not your house, Jenny. You're the beneficial owner of your house, but it's not really your house because they control. And you know what? Who was it that chimed in on the podcast that they were going to call the register of deeds because their house was paid off, but they didn't actually have the deed to their house. It was still down at the register.
Who was that? I remember that.
We need to follow up with her and see if she actually received the deed to her house.
Yeah, if you're watching, email us and let us know.
Maybe that was Sarah.
But Sarah Van Alstyne?
Yeah, but maybe I can't remember who it was.
Sarah's.
I would like to know if they actually got, because remember she called down to the office or the courthouse or something. They said, "Oh no, we have those. We have your deed in whatever." It was like encumbered, within the office or something. I can't remember what it was, but
no, I think you're right. Yeah.
They gave her some other actual certificate, but it wasn't the deed. It wasn't the physical deed. It was something else.
Wait, I gotta. Thank you guys for being sweet. It's pricey, but I'm sure this required months of work from Jenny and Kendra. How much would 2 professional event planners cost to do this? Well, my daughter is getting married, and I can tell you what a wedding planner costs. What? How much do people spend going to the fair? Ooh, I like that one. Thank you, Storybook. I, for one, am not for sitting in a tent in a grassy field.
Hey, mosquitoes and wasps. She's fighting off mosquitoes and wasps and heat stroke.
Lisa, I love you so much. There's just not enough love for you. Oh my goodness. Gosh, that's funny. Okay, well, we probably better get off of here because we're already at 2 hours and 18 minutes. And we do need people to share this. I'll try. Gosh, I'm so far behind in trying to cut out, and make shorts. I'm just so far behind. I'm trying really hard, but I will say this, my lawsuit against the state election board is really ramping up, and the amount of time I'm having to take off of that to do paperwork that they're wanting me to do is also eating my time. So I swear I'm trying to do the best I can. But thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate everybody being on this morning. We will have on, guess who's going to be on Friday?
Who?
Our friend Amy Serrato and probably Whitney and probably Kelly. And they'll be on Friday to talk about the OTA and all of the BS that's going on with OTA. And they're going to talk a little bit about the documentary, which we are going to show at the Liberty Oklahoma conference. So that might be one reason that it would, be good, is because you can go and see this documentary, which, by the way, I have gone to see, and it is phenomenal. If you walk out of that documentary and you go, oh, I think OTA is great, then please leave. Please leave Oklahoma. Please leave the United States. Please go find an island to yourself and just sit there by yourself, because no, it is an excellent documentary. So they're going to talk about that and a little bit about what's going on. You won't want to miss Friday for absolute sure. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I'm missing. Are we missing anything before we jump off of here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you for joining us from your garage.
Glad I could be here.
With the music of the saws.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. We so appreciate always. And I love hearing your comments. It's just one of the things that I think, don't you love them too, Michael?
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have a show, Jenny, without all those comments. I mean, really, without all those people that tune in and watch. I mean, we don't really have a show without them.
No possible way. So thank you guys so much for that. You have it is a beautiful day today. Go out and enjoy first fall, because we'll have 12 before it's all said and done.
Hit a couple more of those comments. Earl's daughter's last comment is hilarious. And it's actually true, I think.
Trump came in like a wrecking ball, tearing it all down to Miley Cyrus swinging in Dixie shorts and bodyguard. That's pretty good. All right. Thank you, Earl's daughter, for that last thing there. And thank you guys for your comments. Really appreciate it. And we will see you again on Friday morning at 9 a.m. with Pike Off OTA. Thanks.